When you think of the legal profession, what's the first image that, you know, jumps into your head?
Oh, dizzy.
I'm willing to bet it's something really cinematic. You know the vibe, a dimly lit, mahogany-paneled library?
Leather-bound books. Lots of them.
Yes, exactly. Walls lined with those heavy books that smell like vanilla and old paper. There's a lawyer sitting there, maybe adjusting their glasses, surrounded by just mountains of paperwork.
Burning the midnight oil.
Right, to find that one obscure precedent that saves the day at the last minute. It's romantic, isn't it? It's classic.
It is classic. It's also complete fantasy in 2026.
Mm.
I mean, if you're practicing law like that today, you're not just inefficient, you're probably committing malpractice.
Wow, that is a heavy opener. But it sets the stage perfectly because today we are tearing down that cinematic image completely.
Good.
We're diving into a topic that takes that leather-bound nostalgia and just digitizes it into oblivion. We're talking about the massive shift happening in the legal world right now.
Yeah, from gut feeling and dusty libraries to a streamlined, data-driven reality.
A shift that honestly is long overdue. We're looking at how artificial intelligence and automation have moved past being just, you know, cool tech or a sci-fi concept.
They're now essential tools. They're reshaping how justice is actually delivered.
And to guide us through this whole transformation, we are digging into a fascinating deep dive based on source material from moremax.net. It's titled The Digital Gavel, AI and the Future of Law.
It's a fantastic read from moremax.net. And what really stands out is just the scale of this change.
Yeah.
We aren't just talking about doing the same old things a little bit faster.
No.
We're talking about a fundamental restructuring of the entire legal workflow.
So our mission today is to unpack this. We're going to look at how automation is changing legal practice from, I have a hunch this judge likes me to.
Here is the data-backed probability of a favorable ruling.
Exactly. We're covering the whole life cycle, research, drafting, the nightmare that is discovery, and then courtroom strategy.
And of course, the big one, the existential crisis of whether the robot is coming for the attorney's job.
Always the elephant in the room. But let's start where every legal case starts, the research.
Right.
Now, most of our listeners are familiar with the old grind. You have a legal issue, and you need to find a case from 30 years ago that supports your argument.
The needle in the haystack.
That's it. And for the longest time, digital research meant Boolean strings. I think every lawyer or anyone who's ever used a complex database has some vaguely traumatic memories of it.
Oh, definitely. You needed to know the exact connectors. Liability within 5 words of negligence, but not including medical.
It was so rigid.
That's the problem with Boolean logic. It requires the human to translate a conceptual problem into a mathematical query.
And if you didn't put the comma in the exact right place...
You found nothing. Or, if you used the word car, but the relevant case used the word automobile, you missed the precedent entirely.
It felt like you needed a degree in computer science just to find a court case. But according to the source from moremax.net, the Boolean string is, for all intents and purposes, dead.
It's being replaced by natural language processing, NLP. But let's be specific here. This isn't just talking to your computer.
Yeah.
This is semantic search. The AI understands the relationships between words.
So if I ask for cases about vehicle accidents, it knows to look for truck, sedan, collision, and pile up.
Precisely. It understands the concept of the query, not just the key words. You can ask a question in plain English, like, show me cases involving slip and fall accidents in icy conditions.
Where the landlord was found liable.
And the AI parses the intent. It's not matching words, it's matching legal concepts.
That sounds amazing for accessibility, but does it actually work better? I mean, asking a database a plain English question sounds nice, but what if the AI misses the nuance? Aren't you risking missing the one case that matters?
It's a valid concern, but the data suggests it's actually more thorough than humans. The source mentions global scanning. A human researcher, no matter how good, has cognitive limits. They get tired. They skim. They might not check a jurisdiction halfway across the world that has a relevant statute.
But the algorithm does.
It sweeps through millions of statutes and cases globally in seconds. So no obscure precedent is safe. If it exists, the AI finds it.
Okay, but this is where the source material gets into territory that I think is a genuine game changer. It's not just finding the law. It's about analyzing the people applying the law.
Predictive analytics for judges.
We have to talk about this.
This is the Moneyball moment for litigation. I mean, traditionally, knowing your judge was an art form.
Right. You'd ask around, maybe buy a drink for a lawyer who was in front of Judge Miller last year. You relied on gossip.
Pure anecdote. Oh, Judge Miller hates it when you file motions on a Friday. Or, he's tough on white-collar crime. Very vague.
Very vague.
But AI changes that completely. It ingests every single ruling a specific judge has ever made, thousands of decisions, and finds patterns that even the judge might not be aware of.
Okay, give me an example. What does that look like in practice?
So instead of he's tough on crime, the data might tell you, Judge Miller grants summary judgment motions 74% of the time in contract disputes.
Okay.
But that number drops to 20% if the motion relies heavily on out-of-state citations.
That is incredibly specific.
It gives you a roadmap. It tells you exactly how to tailor your argument to that specific human being's psychological and professional history. You aren't just arguing the law anymore.
You're arguing to the judge's data footprint.
Exactly.
That feels almost unfair. I mean, it's legal, obviously. But isn't there a risk of judge shopping? If the data says Judge X is statistically likely to kill my case, I'm doing everything I can to get Judge Y.
That's the reality of modern litigation. It's becoming less about the abstract law and more about the statistical probability of the venue. The source points out this gives firms a massive competitive edge.
If you know the judge better than they know themselves, you have the upper hand.
No question.
So research is smarter. We're profiling judges like FBI agents. Let's move to the actual production of work, the drafting.
The life of a junior associate.
I feel like their stereotypical life is just drowning in drafting contracts and memos.
It's the heavy lifting, as Mormax.net calls it. It's grunt work, taking a template, changing names, updating dates. It's repetitive, boring, but the stakes are incredibly high.
Right. One typo in a contract can cost your client millions.
Enter the robot associate. Or, as the source puts it, template automation. And we need to be clear, this isn't just copy-paste.
What is it then?
Intelligent systems use questionnaires now. You input the basic facts, names, amounts, dates, specific conditions, and the system generates a complex, perfectly formatted legal document from scratch.
So it kills the blank page anxiety.
And it kills the copy-paste error. We've all heard horror stories of a lawyer using an old contract and forgetting to change a name, or leaving in a clause about a warehouse when the new deal is about software.
Automation eliminates that.
It makes it impossible. But the source mentions something even more interesting called clause libraries. This sounds like it pushes past just filling in the blanks.
It does. This is where the AI starts to act like a senior partner. Let's say you're drafting an indemnity clause. The AI can access a library of thousands of similar contracts and suggest market standard language.
Market standard is a huge term in law. Basically means what everyone else is agreeing to. Right?
Exactly. And usually you only know what's market standard by experience, but the AI knows, because it's read, everyone else's contracts.
So what does it do?
It can flag your writing and say, hey, this clause is significantly more aggressive than what is typically seen in this industry. Are you sure you want to do that?
That is wild. It's like a spell check that checks your negotiation strategy.
It goes even further. The source discusses real-time proofing, but not for grammar. It checks for logical flow and context.
Meaning what? It knows if my argument makes sense.
It knows if your citations support your argument. If you cite a case to support a point, but that case was overturned 5 years ago, the AI red flags it immediately.
So it makes sure the whole document holds together logically.
A dream for quality control. But I have to ask the business question here. If a junior associate used to bill 10 hours to draft a contract, and now the AI does it in 20 minutes, what happens to the billable hour?
That's the friction point. And the source touches on this tension. We are moving toward accurate fee estimates and fixed pricing because clients won't pay for 10 hours of work that took 10 minutes.
It forces law firms to bill for value, not just time.
Which is probably better for everyone, except maybe the firm's bottom line in the short term. It absolutely disrupts the business model.
Okay, let's move to where the costs really explode. We've covered research and drafting, but the source identifies the single most expensive phase of litigation as discovery.
Oh yeah, the data deluge.
For the uninitiated, discovery is the phase where you exchange information. But I think people stuck in that cinematic mindset picture exchanging a few file boxes of letters.
Right, here are the memos, counselor.
But the reality today is terrifying. We are talking millions of emails, text messages, Slack threads, Microsoft Teams chats.
Emojis, metadata. It's an ocean. And in the past, the only way to review it was to throw an army of junior lawyers at it. 20 people in a basement reading emails for weeks.
Slow, prone to error, and astronomically expensive.
So how does the digital gavel fix this?
Predictive coding. This is the heavy hitter of legal AI.
How does that actually work? Is it just looking for keywords?
No, and that's the crucial distinction. Keyword searches are dumb. If you're investigating a price-fixing conspiracy, the conspirators almost never write, "Let's fix the prices" in an email.
No, they use code words or they talk around it.
Right. So predictive coding uses a process called technology-assisted review. A senior lawyer, a human expert, reviews a small seed set of documents, maybe 500 out of a million.
And they mark them relevant or not relevant.
Exactly. They're training the beast, teaching the AI the criteria.
Okay.
The AI analyzes why the lawyer marked those docs, identifies the pattern sender, time of day, vague phrasing, and then it applies that logic to the remaining 999,000 documents.
It clones the senior partner's brain and scales it.
Effectively, yes. And it keeps learning. If it flags something and the lawyer says, "No, that's wrong," it updates its algorithm. This brings us to concept searching.
Right. It can find documents that are about a concept, even if the keywords aren't there.
Give me an example of a concept it could catch that a keyword search would miss.
Think about secrecy or pressure. The AI might flag an email that says, "Let's take this conversation offline," or "delete this after reading."
Don't copy legal on this.
Exactly. The word fraud isn't there, but the concept of hiding something is screamingly obvious to the AI.
That is fascinating. It's analyzing behavior, not just vocabulary.
And the payoff is massive. Mormax.net cites a statistic that this can reduce discovery cost by upwards of 70%.
70%. That's the difference between a lawsuit bankrupting a company and being a manageable expense.
It levels the playing field. You can't just bury the little guy in paper anymore.
Exactly. Okay, so we've handled the documents. Let's look at strategy. We touched on judge analytics, but the outline calls the section Moneyball for lawyers.
Yeah, this goes way beyond just the judge.
This is the part that really surprised me. Outcome prediction. I assume this is where the client walks in and asks, "Am I going to win?"
And traditionally, the lawyer says, "It depends," or "I feel good about it." It's pure gut instinct.
But AI moves this to hard data.
Yes. It analyzes historical data of similar cases, fact patterns, jurisdictions, parties, and gives you a probability score. You have a 62% chance of winning this at trial?
That changes the entire conversation. I mean, if you tell me I have a 20% chance of winning, I'm not going to trial. I'm settling immediately.
It turns legal advice into risk assessment. It can even predict likely settlement amounts. Cases like this usually settle for between $50,000 and $75,000.
So clients can make business decisions based on math, not emotion.
But the source also mentions opposing counsel analysis. We can profile the other lawyer now.
Oh, absolutely. Just like we profiled the judge, the AI can look at the opposing counsel's track record. Does this lawyer usually settle early? Do they drag cases out to bill hours? What is their settlement threshold?
Wait, settlement threshold? You mean the AI can guess the number they are likely to accept?
Based on their past behavior, yes. If the data shows that lawyer X almost always advises their client to settle once the offer hits 100 grand, you know exactly where to aim your negotiation.
That is like playing poker, where you can see a reflection of the other guy's cards in his sunglasses.
It's a massive tactical advantage, and it leads to better resource allocation. The AI can predict how many hours a case will likely take, which brings us back to that fee estimate.
So you can actually tell the client, "This will cost $20,000, and mean it.
Okay, so we have AI doing the research, writing contracts, sorting evidence, predicting the judge, and profiling the opposition. I have to ask the question that is probably on every law student's mind right now.
What is left for the human?
What is left for the human? This is the human element. It's the fear of displacement.
But the source from Mormax.net is very specific here. It calls AI a force multiplier, not a replacement.
But if the robot does the grunt work, isn't the grunt work how junior lawyers learn?
That's the real crisis, the training gap. Traditionally, you learn to be a lawyer by reading those 1,000 emails or proofreading those contracts. If the AI does that,
How do you train the next generation of senior partners? You can't just start at the top.
the structure of the firm is changing. It used to be a pyramid, lots of juniors at the bottom, a few partners at the top. Now it's looking more like a diamond. You need fewer grunt workers, but you need more mid-level people who can manage the AI.
So the skill set shifts.
The focus shifts to what humans do best: advocacy, ethical judgment, complex negotiation. You cannot automate empathy. You can't automate the feeling of looking a jury in the eye and persuading them of a moral truth.
Or holding a client's hand when their business is falling apart.
Exactly. The counselor part of attorney and counselor at law becomes the premium service. The AI handles the data, the human handles the humanity.
The source puts it well. The firms that thrive will be the ones that view AI as a bridge to efficient service, not a threat to their billable hours.
It's adapt or die. If you are still trying to bill a client for 10 hours of manual research that an algorithm can do in 10 seconds, you aren't just inefficient, you're obsolete.
So let's recap this journey. We've gone from the frustration of Boolean strings to the power of semantic search.
Right.
We've seen how the robot associates safeguards against drafting errors and how predictive coding tames the data deluge.
And we've seen how data analytics is turning litigation strategy into a game of probabilities, profiling everyone from the judge to the opposing counsel.
It is a brave new world for the legal profession, and honestly, we've just scratched the surface here. If you want to understand the full scope, you really need to read the full article, The Digital Gavel, AI, and the Future of Law, over at moremax.net.
Highly recommended. It gives you all the granular detail on the tech we discussed.
But before we sign off, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over. We talked about how AI can predict the outcome of a trial before it even starts. It knows the judge's patterns better than the judge does.
It raises a massive philosophical question.
It really does. If the algorithm is that good, at what point does it stop predicting justice and start defining it? I mean, if the computer says you have a 99% chance of losing based on the data, do you even get your day in court? Or does the probability score just become the verdict?
That is the line between efficiency and fairness that we're going to have to watch very, very closely.
Something to think about. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.